Greetings and welcome to the Dare to Create show with Mitzi Linton. Today we are just so delighted to have with us Dr. Shawn Miller. Welcome to the Dare to Create show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. This is amazing.
And so your doctorate is in?
It's in chiropractic.
Yes, and you look amazing.
Oh, thank
You look in absolutely incredible shape. And there's some things in life that you are just absolutely passionate about. So could you share a little of your passions with us?
Yeah, for sure.
You can take
Okay, to start off, there's a quote by Henry David Thoreau that seems to be at the crux of this. It says, "As high as a tree aspires to grow, so high will it find an atmosphere suited to it." You know, we all have this inherent ability, this inherent seed within us that can co-create pretty much anything we want. You know, there's a wonderful thing that I heard from Vincent van Gogh one time. He said, "I keep hearing this voice in my mind that says you are not a painter." But he says, if you paint, that voice will be silenced. All right? We all have these little voices that kind of doubt and fear and all these emotions come up. But when we align ourselves with the principle of what's really true within our own DNA, life becomes magical. One of my favorite quotes is by Joseph Campbell, and he says, "Follow your bliss." You know, and the first time I heard that was great, but I was like, well, how do you know your bliss? You know, that's one of the things too, because you might enjoy a lot of different things. Every so often, you get a little inkling when you stir that energy inside that makes you feel like a little kid and a little excited with enthusiasm, makes you want to get up in the morning. That's what your bliss is. That's how you know what it is.
That's awesome. And you work with Dr. David Carmos as well. And tell us a little bit about how you met him and what you do together.
Oh, sure. Well, actually, Dr. David Carmos is just an amazing individual. And not to embarrass him, because I usually don't tell the story, but he has an amazing knowledge that a lot of times is missed because of he's such a charismatic individual and always telling jokes and keeps things so light, but the information is so deep in what he has. And actually, there was a gal that I stayed with. Her name was Estelle Simons. I stayed with her she lived in Boston, Woburn, a place called Woburn. And very sophisticated woman. She was 90, well, actually she was 86 at the time. She just passed away at 93, but she was 86 at the time. And her claim to fame was she was the first person to teach yoga at Harvard University back in the 70s. Wow. Yeah, and it was actually the first one at an Ivy League school to teach yoga. She was head of the whole department. And so I was with her. She was 86 years old. I was staying at her house, and we were down in her yoga studio, which is in her basement. And she had all these yogis signed information, like Vishnu Devananda, Iyengar. She was the first American student to ever study with Iyengar in India. Satchitananda, and they all said, "Thanks to Estelle for letting me stay," and all this thing. And so I was doing yoga with her. It's early in the morning. I said to Estelle, "You've met them all, haven't you?" She said, "Well, I've met a lot." Because what would happen when they'd come from India to lecture, they'd lectured at Harvard, and because she was part of the department, they would stay at her house. So I said, "Well, who's the best yogi? Who's the greatest yogi out of all of them?" And her answer kind of stunned me. She was like, "Oh, David," meaning Dr. Carmos, could blow them all away, and he can, because he's you've seen his age and what his body's ability to do, and his knowledge and being able to communicate that. So the theory that we use, is something that we actually turned it with our names. We called it the Carmos-Miller anti-density theory. And essentially, what it states is, as you go through the aging process, your body becomes more dense. Your body gets filled up, the organs get congested, the energy slows down. Your mind often becomes very inflexible. This is the way it is, and this is, And so the whole idea, as we've been told through certain of our great masters that have come, whether it's Buddha or Yeshua, there's a wonderful quote. It says, most people are familiar with it. It says, if you want to enter the kingdom of heaven, become like a child within. Becoming a child within is not having no responsibility, but it's becoming youthful like a child. It's cleaning up your blood so it's healthy. Your organs are healthy, so your body is vibrating on a higher level and less dense, that type of thing.
Excellent. Excellent. And so one of the things that you've done in your life to clean up and the organs is to follow a certain way of eating. And can you talk about your journey that how that's evolved and the way that you eat now?
Oh, excellent. I'd love to. Actually, what happened was when I was 15, I was an athlete, and I recognized that my brother, his body was different than mine, and he had acne. I didn't have acne, and I didn't eat sweets. And I always said it was because of chocolate. He's like, no, it's not because of chocolate. But I never ate chocolate. So when I was 15, I ended up giving up candy, cake, ice cream, sugar, chocolate. I gave up everything.
In one go?
Yeah, it was just like done. It was done.
Gosh.
Yeah, it was done. And At 15, yeah. And I never really ate it a lot, but it was just like a thing that just says that was it. I was just done with that type of processed food. Now, I still ate meat because I really didn't know. I thought you needed it for protein to build muscles and working out and all that stuff. So I was on meat till I was 24. And so now I'm in my mid-40s. I've never had a cavity in my life. I've never had a cup of coffee in my life. And right now I'm on living foods. Now, there's a whole distinction of raw foods now. I prefer the term living foods. The whole idea is if you want life out, you got to put life in, But a lot of people are eating death. Preservatives, putrefied food, things that are fermented, things that aren't life-giving. So the whole idea is, it's life in, life out. I mean, it's very simple. And the more you stay more towards a natural, the natural nutrients or the natural food that's for our body. See, you can tell what an animal is supposed to eat, one, by the structure of their teeth, okay? Our jaw articulates up and down and also side to side. Okay, carnivorous animals, their jaw only articulates up and down. It doesn't go side to side. A cow or a horse, their jaw articulates side to side because they have to chew, and that's what we do. We have incisors. That's for cutting, like a carrot or a nut, and then we grind on our molars. What we do have are what they call canines, but if anything, they're pre-canines, not true canines. Two canines actually hook, and they're for ripping and tearing. But for a vegetarian animal, they have more molars and incisors. Our digestive system, our alimentary canal is close to 30 feet long in a man, a little less in a woman. But there's a ratio that if you take the alimentary canal from the mouth to the anus and you divide it by the length of the spine, it comes up with a certain factor. And this is all throughout the animal kingdom. So if it comes out to a factor of, if the digestive system is 1 to 2 times the length of the spine, an animal is a carnivore. If it's 3 to 4 times the length of the spine, the animal is an omnivore. If it's 6 to 8 times the length of the spine, animal's a vegetarian. If it's 10 to 12 times the length of the spine, it's a fruitarian. Ours is 30 feet, our digestive system, roughly, and our spine is roughly 3 feet, no matter how tall you are. Roughly. So it comes out somewhere a factor of 10. So it gives us another clue. Another clue is how we perspire. An animal that's carnivorous, they perspire primarily by panting. Okay, a vegetarian animal, they sweat. Like a horse sweats, a cow sweats, we sweat, I mean, there's actually, I think we give 9 in the book. There's one has to do with how they sip water. A vegetarian animal takes in fluid by suction. Okay, like a horse, even if they'll stick their head in a trough and they'll suck it up. A carnivorous animal, they take liquid by lapping. Okay, like a dog or cat or lion, this type of thing. So once we understand how our physiology is, we could, relate to nature a little better and do a little better.
That's so fascinating. And I love what you said at the beginning, too, about taking in living things. And with a lot of times we're eating death because when we're eating processed foods, when we're eating meat even, well, meat was alive once, but when we're eating it, certainly not alive. It's dead food that we're eating. It's a dead body. So it's fascinating. And you've also been on a journey. Well, you know what? I want to know, I think our viewers would like to know what a typical day is like. Yeah, let's have a day in the life of Dr. Shawn Miller. I want to know that.